Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Picture International with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 21st of July, 2023. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session, where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'll disappear from that little left corner and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us, guys. So now then, guys, let's, without further ado, let's jump into the charts. So the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225. So looking good still for the bulls, I would say, ish. The reason why I'm saying this one, because again, yes, we did decline again. We did test my targets, the 50 and the upside support line, the 50-day EMA and this upside support line. So that's good. And now the question is, can we see a nice rebound back to the upside? However, at this point, I think that the easier option for me is to wait for a push above the 32,923 or this area between the 32,923 960 levels, and then do something maybe about it, and then aim for this downside resistance line. Now, in terms of the downside, of course, a break of this upside line would be needed. Because at the same time we would fall below the 50-day EMA, and potentially this could attract more sellers into the game. However, let me just remove this line here. However, I think more sellers could join in if we do fall below the 31,803 territory right here, marked by the low of the 11th of July. So that's the quick game plan here on Nikkei. Look, in general, we had some nice data from Japan this morning. So we had the CPI numbers from Japan. So their national year-on-year CPI number came out at 3.3, so lower than the forecast of 3.5, but above the previous number of 3.2. That, like I said, it kind of remained the same. It's kind of stable for the last how many, like 5 readings. It kind of is fluctuating between 3.2 and 3.5. Back in January, it came out at 4.3, but now it's just fluctuating around those numbers. The Japanese target in general is to maintain inflation around 2%. So look, okay, at the moment, I think that they're on the right track, so, not much to add up here. At this point, I think Nikkei is more kind of subject to, its volatility is subject to volatility in the US, I think, and in the major indices. So yeah, let's see how that's going to play out. But at this point, like I said, for now, I am watching this carefully. If I'm watching this upside line, if that gets cleared, then yes, certainly more sellers could join in. ASX 200, beautiful hold up, as I said. So sorry about that. Beautiful hold up near this downside line. And question here for me right now is, can we see that, drift further south? And look, I talked about this and I said we were hanging around here yesterday. I said to you that if we do fall back below the 7,293, I will consider a bit of a retracement here to the downside. And to be honest, so far, I'm going to stick to that. For now, I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to keep an eye on the 7,215 territory. If that gets cleared, well, further declines here are possible. And certainly we could see a retest of these EMAs, or maybe a drop below that. In general, I have to say that we are currently just oscillating around those EMAs, the 50, the 100, and the 200 day. And look, it's maybe not the most picture perfect moment here, of course, but in general, yes, we are oscillating around that and around these EMAs. So the amplitude kind of is quite high. I don't really have anything else to add on this one, to be honest, because again, for now, I'm kind of cautiously leaning towards the downside, but only as long as we stay below the 7,293. If I want to go higher and I want to aim for some higher levels, I need to see a break of this downside line taken from the high of the 17th of April, and then yeah, I'm gonna do something about it. At this point, I am just cautiously bearish, but only up until here somewhere. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average looking good. Dow was the best performer yesterday because the S&P declined, the Nasdaq declined, Dow gained almost 0.5%. Okay, yeah, it gained, but look, for how long? I mean, will this positivity remain? That's a good question because yes, we are right now in the earnings season, and yesterday Johnson & Johnson was the biggest surpriser. Again, one of the components of the Dow, and yeah, that one just exploded to the upside. And yeah, let's have a look very quickly. Just a sec. Yeah, that's the one. There we go. So that's a good move here. Okay, will this rally be sustained? Again, we'll wait and see. But for now, looking at the picture here, look, I talked about this hurdle, this 35,412, and in general, the idea that I posted here back in on when was it? On the 18th of July, yes, on Tuesday, I said to you that look, keep your eyes on this barrier because then if that gets cleared, my next target is the 35,412. Boom, there we go, mission accomplished, beautiful. So now the question here is, can we see a further move north? Well, okay, this is a good question, of course. Look, we have this little obstacle here. Let me just put this one on the chart. We have this little obstacle, 35,750 territory, 51, something like that. That's the highest point of February of 2022. And yeah, if we continue to trade above the 35,412 territory, then yes, my next target is the 35,751. That's the simple approach that I'm going to do here on my Dow. If we start falling back below this 35,412 territory and we stay below it, then yes, maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible. S&P 500. So this one's already kind of in the retracement mode. And look, by the way, if you think that this is the moment, normally I say that, look, they all move in a way hand in hand most of the time, but whenever we have an earnings season, I mean, that can be skewed. Sometimes Nasdaq, you know, skyrockets, sometimes Dow, sometimes S&P. So if you have a diversified portfolio, then yes, congratulations, very good for you. Look, for now, I would say we'll keep it careful. But I will probably, while we're in the earnings season, I will say that, hey, you know, this index, for example, still could go higher and this index could go lower. However, the problem with my theories here right now and during the earnings season is that, look, whenever we have some sort of results, I mean, straight away, this is what's going to impact the index. And I think that the technicals, which I apply most of the time, might not really work. And, you know, have to kind of accept that. Look, they will start working when it settles down a little bit, it cools down. But at this point, I would say keep your eyes on the big earnings, the big companies which are delivering their earnings soon. So today, I think, who do we have? Today we have American Express, Schlumberger. Yep. So keep your eyes on that one. Next week, by the way, let me just double check something. Next week we do have the Nasdaq drivers. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Microsoft, Alphabet. Okay, so next week, guys, is gonna be mayhem. I think next week we'll have the even bigger boys delivering their earnings, and we'll have the Fed. If talking about volatility, I mean, that's gonna just it might take you out. Just be careful. Either, I don't know, risk only what you can afford to lose. I mean, well, actually, that you should be doing that all the time. But just be careful that, you know, swings might be, if you're counter trend trading, so swings might be just horrible. And if you manage to capture it, great, you know, congratulations. But yeah, History shows that sometimes our human brain doesn't capture the right direction. But anyway, look, I just want, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm just trying to warn you, and I'm just trying to kind of tell you that, look, this week probably will just remain somewhere on the modest side, but going into next week, now that's where the excitement can come. Like I said, and the Fed with its almost 100% rate hike, that's something going to be interesting to see. And as I said before, that the rate hike is in a way is like a done deal already, so everybody already accepted that. Is the press conference, the way they're going to be talking, that's what everybody's going to be watching for, I think. But again, let's wait and see. I keep forgetting every morning. Good morning into the chat room. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody had a good night's sleep and everybody's ready for Friday. Look, in general, Friday today is not the most maybe exciting in terms of economic data. What do we have here today? Not much from the U.S. Nothing, almost nothing. So I think it's, the drivers are going to be the stocks. Canada is delivering something, manufacturing sales, preliminary numbers, housing, retail sales. Yeah, so core retail sales. That's something that, Canada is going to be delivering. UK already delivered its retail sales better than expected. Much better. So, okay, still in negative territory. Some like the year-on-year numbers on both on core and the year-on-year on the headline. Still better than I'll get to the pound in a bit. But anyway, like I said, coming back to this, as long as we stay below the 4,588 territory, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside. That I'm going to stick to this rule, and I'm not going to try to invent anything else. If we do pop above the 4,588 territory, I'll go a little bit higher. And Nasdaq, so yes, declined. Netflix, Tesla, these guys are not doing very well. Well, did not really get a good reaction. I mean, Netflix, for example, you can see that, declined heavily. Tesla, TSLA, there we go. Tesla also declined. So we have Nasdaq falling off a little bit. And in general, look, I talked about this yesterday. I said to you that if we do drop below the 15,857 territory here on my futures, then yes, I'll lean a little bit more towards the downside. And again, this is what I got. So congratulations, whoever managed to capture this. Now what's next? Well, I think that at this point, maybe something around this could be possible. So look, if we continue to trade below this 15,665 territory, somewhere around here, then I will lean a little bit more towards the downside, but I'll get more comfortable with the downside if we do fall below the 15,475 territory right here. And then we could do something about it. So now then, looking at the picture here, I would say if you want to go higher back to the upside, I think that the better option is to maybe at least wait back for a push of the 15,857. I kind of like it and I don't, but we could keep an eye on it. So if we do push back above this hurdle, then yes, I will get a little bit more maybe excited with some higher levels, but probably the 16,000 mark would remain the more interesting one for me. The German index, DAX, still flat. So look, it's doing a DAX. I can say it's doing a DAX because it's ranging. DAX likes to range. Honestly, for lately, it's ranging and it's not really doing much. So it's just bouncing around these two hurdles. And I said to you that I'm going to wait until we get a clear breakout here before we could consider any short-term direction. Now then, jumping into the FTSE 100. So a break above this downside line happened. Beautiful. Yes, I said to you that as long as we stay above it, then yes, I will continue aiming to the upside, especially if we also push above the 100-day EMA here, and that means that we would be now above all of the EMAs. Now, look, I'm aiming only for this territory, the 7,704, or actually the 700 zone itself. I think that I like that one a little bit more. And that's what I'm going to aim for now, and then we'll see. Because again, we had quite a strong up move quite in a short period of time, so maybe a bit of retracement could be possible at some point, but initially I'm just aiming for this. US dollar getting a boost yesterday, and yeah, just randomly, boom. Of course, somebody's talking about the numbers that came out yesterday. The existing home sales numbers that fell. Philadelphia Fed manufacturing fell. Initial and continuous jobless claims. Initial jobless claims improved. So I mean they came out lower, so that's a good thing. So not many people are gonna going for benefits. Continuing jobless claims increased actually. So again, you interpret it as you want in a way. But one thing for sure, look, I talked about the US dollar. I said to you yesterday that if we do pop again above this 99.86 territory somewhere here, I will once again aim for the 23.6. Well, I mean, we overshot that, so that's great. We overshot that 23.6, but look at how well, this is where the moment where that Fibonacci stopped working, and I think I have to get rid of it because we didn't reach the 38.2. Instead, we reached these targets, these levels of mine, and I was aiming for that, and I was talking about that, and I was pointing these out, guys. Honestly, sorry about this, but this is my moment of smugness right now. So this is where I feel a little bit on the smug side. So I'm quite happy about this. This is great. Now what's next? Let's see what we can do here next. Well, let's put it this way. If we do push above the last barrier, this 100.67 territory, yes, I will aim higher, and I'll aim for this little territory right here in between these two levels, the 101.49 and 59 levels. Around here, we could also test the 50-day EMA, which maybe could provide resistance, maybe not. But like I said, for now we will just stick to that game plan. So yeah, something like this. In terms of the downside, because look, the downside is still not off the table on this one, and for me right now, I think that I will start maybe looking at this hurdle, this 99.87. I talked about this, so if we do start pushing back below it, then maybe I'll consider a move lower. Didn't like that one. Gold didn't really like that stronger dollar. I mean, look at this. Look at how well this barrier continues to provide resistance. Honestly, I mean, I talked about this, and I was warning you in the beginning of this week. I said to you, keep your eyes on this barrier, and yeah, there we go. We got a hold up here, and now what's next? Well, next is potentially maybe if we do get a break of this upside line and a drop below the 1964 territory, then yes, I will go a little bit lower. But look, I'm not rushing into anything. I'm just gonna leave this one for now. And today is Friday, and I think that I'm gonna leave everything for next week. Honestly, I'm just gonna observe the price action today. I'm just gonna see how it's gonna play out. Maybe it's gonna stay somewhere around here. Maybe it's gonna test the upside line, rebound from it, and then kind of remain in this territory below this key barrier and above this upside line. So that means that this could be a nice, interesting game plan for next week. And also, I really want to see if this is going to be the pattern that I'm thinking in my head right now. Look, we had a strong decline. Maybe let's say if we have a gradual up move here alongside this upside line, and let's say we get the like 3 candles right now, 3 bullish candles within the bodies of these 3 bullish candles within the body of this this big one here, the big decline one, then maybe that could create a falling 3 method candlestick. So look, I talked about this before. It's like something like this, basically, if you can see it here. So something like this falling 3 method candlestick. Okay, look, maybe that could be the case. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jumping way ahead of myself. However, if we start counting the days, then today is this, like this, it forms. Monday it forms another one. Tuesday it forms another one. And on Wednesday, guess what? What's happening? It's the Fed. It freaking falls off the cliff. Honestly, it's like this is the idea that I have in my head. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but again, I'm just gonna throw it out there. If it's gonna work, fantastic. If it's not gonna work, I'll have to just say, you know what? I was wrong. I was trying way too much to predict the future. So, you know, I'll have to come back to rubbing my crystal ball, you know, again. Anyway, so that's the game plan on this gold. A comment in the chat room, Yagnesh Vagain 777. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but BTC. I have BCH, USD, and XRP and Litecoin here, but to be honest, BTC is not really doing much. I talked about BTC. You can actually rewind, have a look at the yesterday's video. I talked about BTC in there, BTC USD. It's still in the range, and it's not really doing much, and I'm waiting until it's gonna get a breakout. But yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna pick up on the BTC USD because I kept on picking up on this one on every day this week, and it's really not doing anything. And like I said, you can, like I said, have a look at the yesterday's recording, and just it's because basically it's just doing this, right? And it's not really something. I mean, I'm waiting for a clearance of one of these sides, and then I'm going to do something about it. So jumping into oil very quickly. Yeah, so continues to climb. And look, if I would bring my upside line back to the table here, maybe we'll see some sort of interesting things. So yeah, maybe we'll see that, oh, you know what, it's continuing to trade above the this upside line, so you know, everything's working out. So in general, okay, that's fine, but I'm not excluding a possibility of like seeing, let's say, something of a range here, but still I need to see a clearance of one of the sides here, maybe a 76.97. A clearance of that might do the trick for more buyers. In general, I'm talking about the 77 territory. If we clear the 77 zone, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in, and then we'll take it from there. Bitcoin Cash. Now this one's a little bit more interesting than Bitcoin BTC USD, because this one is it broke the descending triangle pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the downside. But yeah, it broke it and then remained below the lower side of it. So the question is, and you can see that it's struggling to get back inside that triangle. So in order for me to, let's say, get comfortable with the upside on this one, I need to see a break of this downside line. But at this point, I'm actually examining the downside, because as long as we remain below this 249 territory, I'm then leaning more towards lower levels and towards my next target, which is the 50-day EMA. At this point, it's approximately around the 212 zone, but it might change. But yeah, I'm aiming for that one. Ripple, this one, look, struggled to remain above the 0.8856 territory. I spoke about this level, and I said to you yesterday that keep your eyes on it. If we stay above it, then yes, I'll go higher. But if once again we're going to get another false breakout, we're going to go a little back down, and this is what's happening right now. So we're going a little bit lower. So from the very, very short-term perspective, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart. This is what I'm keeping an eye on. So if we break this upside line, I'm going to go lower. I'm going to consider a move to the downside here. Yeah, and I'm going to consider something like this. Maybe a move back to this 0.70 territory, or maybe a little bit lower than that. For the upside, I'm sticking to the same game plan. I need that push above the 0.8856, and not only that, I need to see a body of the daily candle staying above it in order to go higher. Litecoin. Litecoin is yeah, still kind of hanging in there. The question is for how long, of course, because look, in general, this is becoming now a mess. I want to get rid of everything, to be honest, and I'm going to bring some of the levels back here, but in general, I want to have a different approach. So some of those levels, some of those lines, some of those trend lines worked nicely. Okay, that's fine. Now, what I want to bring here new is this, well, not this one, but actually this downside line. And me being me, trying to find a veg everywhere, this is what could happen. This is what could be seen here. So look, one of my favorite patterns, and these patterns tend to, let's say if it's a falling veg, then it tends to break to the upside. If it's a rising veg, then it tends to break to the downside. That's according to the TA rules, technical analysis rules. So however, again, different things happen, but look, this, of course, could be a good signal for the bulls, but I would say like this, that it becomes a, let's say in this case, a falling veg. It becomes a bullish scenario if it breaks the upper side of the falling veg. Until it remains inside the veg, it could still drift lower. So, for example, it could, tease us, test the upper side, then start, shifting back down, fail to break it, shift back down, and then fall below the 89.28 territory, and that would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could start aiming for the lower side of this potential idea of a falling veg. And that's why I will stick to my guns, and for the upside, maybe this 94.35 level could do the trick here, and then yes, we could go a little bit higher, so something like this. So that's the game plan on Litecoin. Jumping into a few pairs, AUDUSD looking good. Look at this. Yesterday morning I talked about this and I said to you that we had already quite a decent up move. We had a decent strong up move already, and look at this, how quickly the US dollar changed everything, right? And it rallied, and there we go. We had a decline, a sharp decline here in AUDUSD. So in a way, it's sticking to my game plan that, look, I said to you that if we continue to trade below this territory, between the 0.6830 and the 42 levels, if we continue to trade below that, then yes, another decline here could be possible, and where I'm going to be aiming for the 0.6740 zone, which is around the 200-day EMA. That's my game plan. For now, I'm going to stick to that. And yes, look, the same story as with the US dollar, as I said to you that, or sorry, not the US dollar, but gold, maybe, maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible. Maybe it'll grind back up a little. Maybe this one, the same story. Maybe AUD will grind back a little bit up here and then maybe sell off next week. But that's just a theory. It might not happen like this. Don't quote me on this, don't hold me to it, because the market does what it wants to do. We can only just adjust to it as it goes. And look, for me, if it suddenly starts popping back above the 0.6842 territory right here, I'll go a little bit to the upside. AUDNZD, beautiful. Yesterday I talked about this, and I said to you, look, we pushed higher. We created another false breakout here above this 1.0842, above all of these EMAs, and yeah, we struggled to stay above it, and we drifted back down. But I said to you that once again, if we do push again above this hurdle, then yes, I'll get a little bit more excited with the upside, and there we go. I'm quite excited. My next target is the 1.092530 zone here. Good potential area of resistance. Let's see if we can reach that. At the moment, I'm leaning towards the upside. For the downside, I need to see it drop back below the 1.08 territory, and then I'll do something about it. All this area right here will be neutral for me. AUDJPY, beautiful hold up still. So yeah, still holding on to this hurdle. And look, I mean, this is just interesting, very, very interesting, and I wanna do something with it, but at the same time, it's not really ticking all my boxes yet. So that's why I am just observing the price action. If we push above this hurdle again, the 95.15, and we stay above it, then yes, I'll aim for this downside line. But if that downside line gets broken, that's where more buyers could join in. But if this 95.15 territory continues to provide resistance, then yes, my next target is the upside line drawn from the low of the 24th of March. Now I'm going to go through a lot of yen pairs, because again, those are very interesting right now. NZD, JPY. Let me get rid of everything and start fresh. So currently we're resting on the 50-day EMA, as you can see here. A few false breakouts, but still overall the 50-day EMA is doing a good job. What can we do here? And in a way, I mean, that could still be seen as a bullish indication, because the bulls are, you know, keeping that one alive above all of the EMAs. And as long as we are above the EMAs, then yes, this could still be a bullish indication. However, for me, from the shorter term perspective, actually, I would like to see a break of this downside line and then go higher. At this point, I am just observing the price action, because again, I'm neither bullish nor bearish, because we're very close to this EMA. But I think that for me to consider the downside, a break of this upside line would be needed. So I'll allow it to drop below the 50-day EMA, but maybe it could rebound from this short-term tentative upside support line drawn from the low of the 12th of July. But if it clears it, that's where it could become a little bit more interesting for the sellers. So my downside scenario will be something like this. CHFJPY. I talked about this one yesterday, and there we go. We fell below the 161.65 territory. This was my hurdle. And you know what? Although this is now happening this way, I actually do like the level, and I'm going to stick to that. If we once again fall below it, below this 161.65, yes, I will go to the downside. And I'm going to consider something like this, a move towards this upside support line drawn from the low of the 20th of June. Actually, let me just check something. Is this the case? Oh, this is beautiful. Looking good. Look at this. This is just amazing. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yes. So, this is actually, I like. This I like. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it. So this is going to be my next target if we do fall back below the 161.65 territory. Now, in terms of the upside, pretty straightforward. Push above the 163.12 territory is required. A forthcoming higher high then will be confirmed. USDJPY. So yep, beautiful move. Everything's in line. Everything's okay. I talked about this yesterday and said to you that if we do remain above this 100-day EMA and we then push above the 23.6, then yes, my next target is the 38.2% retracement on the Fibonacci. And there we go. We got that. We tested my 50-day EMA as well. Perfect. Fantastic. What's next? Well, maybe a bit of a hold-up here could be possible. However, if we start pushing further north above this 50-day EMA, then yes, more buyers could join in here. So that's the simplistic approach here on USDJPY for me. In order to consider the downside, I think that in my opinion, I would wait for a drop back below the 23.6 initially, and then a drop below the 100-day EMA. And then, yes, we could consider maybe like a larger move to the downside. At this point, all this area right here is something of a neutral one for me. Like I said, in the beginning of this video, I said that I will probably remain a little bit neutral. I will leave it for next week most likely, because I don't want to overdo it, and I just don't want to kind of, let's say, screw up my statistics, for this week. So at this point, everything's going well. So look, this whole area right here will be something of a neutral one for me between the 23.6 and the 38.2. That's why, excuse me. That's why I'm just going to wait and see. If today, for example, if it pushes above the 50-day EMA and stays above it, great. Okay, I'll aim for the 50% retracement on the Fibonacci, and then we'll go from there. USDCHF, beautiful. Beautiful. I talked about this one, and I said to you that if we do pop above the 0.8631 territory, I'll go a little bit higher. And there we went. There we go. We went a little bit higher. We reached our 23.6, by the way. Let me just extend this a little bit to the right. So yep, we reached the 23.6 perfectly. Now we're getting a hold up here. So yeah, everything, life's beautiful. What's next? Well, if we do push further above this 23.6, then yes, I'll go for that 38.2. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the simplistic approach, and I'm just going to, you know, go from there. If we do decline, again, the same story. Look, we might see maybe a gradual drive here to the downside, and then maybe all the way up until Wednesday, and then maybe, you know, we could see that explosion to the upside later on. But again, because I don't look at these indicators very often, but let's say the MACD here seems to be kind of showing some sort of willingness to maybe pop higher into the green zone. So yeah, these SMAs here are doing these moving averages here are, it seems like the shorter, the faster one is trying to cross the slower one. Again, will that happen? Let's wait and see, because again, look, we had something similar here, for example, back in April, at the end of April, where we also crossed it into the green zone. We crossed, you know, this MACD, the faster one crossed the slower one, and in a way, yes, we moved higher, but actually after the crossing we had a sell-off, another strong sell-off decline, and this is where a lot of traders get caught out, and you know, they start jumping straight away here on the crossroads. Yes, they're enjoying life, and then suddenly everything reverses sharply. They're thinking, oh, maybe this is actually not working, start selling, because and this is a perfect example of how, you know, the psychology could work here. Is they start selling on a break here, because again, a forthcoming lower low has been confirmed, and you cannot blame them here, and then found support here somewhere, and then reversed. And look at this, it kind of went in all this green territory, and it kind of nicely rallied. So similar, just not exclude that scenario, similar scenario. So we could see, you know, a push higher maybe later on, but let's say it could drift a little bit to the downside here, and then maybe, you know, then blow up higher later on at some point. But at this point, just I would say, look, in general, leave it for today. Let's see how it plays out, and then you can, you know, I think do more next week. USD CAD, very quickly on this one. So as I said to you today already, we do have some Canadian data coming out. Some retail sales numbers, so we'll see how that plays out. But at this point, look, yesterday we had some strength in the Canadian dollar, but the US dollar did show some bullish activity, and there we go. We had that nice, beautiful retracement here back up. But look how well this scenario that I talked about yesterday worked out. I said to you in my morning video, if we do fall below the 1.3161, I'm leaning towards the downside. I'm going to aim for the 1.3116, and then I'm going to aim for the 1.3092 for this area, basically. Well, we reached the upper side of this area. Great, perfectly, and then we reversed back up. So once again, this hurdle here, the 1.3161, is providing fantastic support. If once again we do drop below it, then yes, I will go lower. GBPCAD, so we got some numbers from UK. So yes, as I said, retail sales numbers, those showed up better than the forecasts. So we're seeing a bit of a hold up here, but to be honest, okay, yesterday we saw a decline here a little bit. We fell below the 1.6956. We fell below the 50-day EMA as well here, but yes, if we do fall again below the 50-day EMA, I'm gonna lean towards this upside line drawn from the low of the 10th of February, and around here we could also test the 100-day EMA. So good potential target, but again, a clearance is still needed. Jumping into GBPUSD. So again, so far so good. The 50% retracement on the Fibonacci is doing a good job. As I said to you before, that as long as if we do drop below the 38.2, then yes, my next target is the 50, and then maybe the 61.8. Well, for now, I'm just keeping an eye on that 50% retracement. So if we do fall below it, then yes, I will go towards this upside line and maybe towards that 61.8. That's a simple approach here. For the upside, I need to see a push back above the 23.6. If we do climb back above the 38.2, okay, maybe, but it would be just a difficult one. Maybe it would, find some resistance actually near the 23.6 and then, drift back down. So it could be a perfect retracement, test the 23.6 and then reverse back down. So that's why I preferred my upside to be from somewhere around here. GBPJPY, I have to remove this because again, it kind of worked and kind of didn't. So I think that, yeah, it's time to get rid of it. So I think that one thing that I want to bring back is some of these lines. So as you can see, this area between the 179.47 and 93 levels is doing a good job, providing good support. And if we do clear it, then yes, I will go lower. But at this point, look, we have this downside line here as well. And if we do fall below this 179.47, then yes, I will, like I said, consider a bit of a move to the downside here. And especially if we do fall below the 50-day EMA. So if we do get that strong move here, I will start looking at some lower levels. Let me just put this on the chart here. There we go. If we consider a move to the upside, well, I actually am going to be very careful here because I am going to keep an eye on this little territory somewhere around here. I think this one, yeah, the 182 zone. If we do push above it, okay, I'll go higher, but not radically to the upside. I'm going to aim for this barrier, the 184 zone, because look, I don't want to see this, but I'm not excluding that this could happen. The idea of a range here. So this is something that to kind of to keep in mind. And if we do break this 182 territory, then yes, I will go a little bit higher, but only up until this 184. Simple as that. Euro Aussie, okay, we remained below this territory. How? Somehow. Okay. Yeah, so we did kind of remain below this territory. We drifted back down here, and look, I talked about this idea, this scenario yesterday. I threw out this idea here because we are we're forming something like this. Let me just bring it to the chart here. I think that I need to redraw this a little bit. So look, we could be forming something around these lines. Let me just readjust this a little bit. There we go. So there we go. This can go. Just let me remind myself again where exactly the lines. Okay, there's none here. Okay, yeah, so this one can go away. Let me then just get rid of it. So there we go. So we have something like this, and we also have we have this upside support line trading here, but at the same time we have a range. So if you're looking for some lower levels within the range, then wait for a break of this upside line. But at the same time, look, maybe this is a very weird ascending triangle pattern. In that case, this could go higher according to the TA rules. But look, we have seen this happening several times in different directions. So, and in general, when you have like something in addition, like a possible range here, you need to kind of consider that as well. And to be honest, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the range because it's not really an ideal triangle here. So I'm kind of, like I said, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the range. But either way, if you're looking for some higher levels or something like that, still a break of this 1.6555 territory is needed. For the downside, within the range, I'm leaning towards, I will wait for a break of this upside line here. For the upside here, I need to break of this barrier, this 1.6555. For the downside, a break of this upside line is required in order to consider a move towards the lower side of this range. And finally, EURUSD. So yes, beautiful decline. Of course, I talked about this yesterday. I said to you that if we do fall below the 1.12 territory right here, I'm going to go towards that 23.6, and then my next target is the 38.2, which is not far from this 1.10, or should I say 1.11 zone. We almost managed to reach that, but to be honest, I'll take that as a good success. Now, what's next? I really want to get rid of the Fibonacci. I think it's time. And I'm just going to stick to that 1.11 territory. If it continues to provide support, maybe something like this here could be possible. This arrow can go, it can go here. So that's what the game plan right now. So let's say if we continue somehow to trade above this territory right here, let me just put it here. If we do continue to trade above this zone, then yes, I'm going to remain quite bullish, I would say. If we start falling below this, I will consider a larger correction here to the downside, because again, this could still be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying, just because we are still trading above this upside line drawn from the low of the 31st of May. So yeah, that's the situation. That's the game plan, guys, on the euro dollar. Again, don't be surprised if you don't see much activity today. Maybe it's going to save itself for next week. Keep your eyes more on the indices today, on the US indices, because like I said, we are in the earnings season right now. So guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for sticking around with me for this whole week. I really, really appreciate that, guys. Really, you cannot imagine how much it means to me. Honestly, it really means a lot to me. So thank you for that. Thank you for your views, for your comments, for your rockets in there, like instead of the likes. Really appreciate that. So I hope you'll have a fantastic trading day today. If it's not going, just honestly leave it. Just leave it and wait for next week. Next week could be more interesting. Yeah. JD Invest number 1 morning. What lot size do you buy sell? I do understand the account risk. It just interested me personally. It really depends on the size of your account. So and whatever I vary. I don't have a fixed one, honestly. I just go from the situation. I have a limit. I would say again, it's really up to you. It's really difficult to say something like that, because for some, 1% is just enough. For some, let's say 20%, somebody risks 20%, but that's already too much. If you're risking 20%, that's crazy. But again, look, I think that you need to find your tolerance. Your risk tolerance and what's affordable for you. And again, it really depends. Let's say if you're going short term or long term, for example, if you're allowing the trade to walk a little bit, that means that if you can allow it to go into minus, into negative, again, you allow it to go against you. And if you allow it to go against you a little bit, then of course the smaller the lot size, the better, because you're thinking, hey, that's great. I'm so happy that I didn't go in with a big size, big trade, big lot size. So you need to kind of keep in mind that. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, like I said, what I do, but you need to figure out what you're comfortable with. You can don't listen to anybody else. Do what you think is best for you. And then everything will be fine. Because again, when you start listening to other people too much, then it's it becomes you start conflicting because you have your ideas already. And when you're watching webinars like mine, like somebody else's, you're not really probably watching for, let's say, oh, what should I do? No, you're just capturing my opinion. I'm telling you what I see it, and probably you see it differently, and you then adjust. Okay, you think, okay, this guy Darius, he thinks it's this way, and then actually I think it's that way. And, let's maybe find the middle somewhere or something. Or actually, in my strategy, I will consider his breakout levels or or stop losses or something like that. But like I said, it's always a combination. It's try to find what's better for you. And in terms of the lot size, I just say risk what you can afford to lose. If you can afford to lose that amount, okay, that's good. If you think that, for example, you know what, I'm sure about this move right now, and I'm gonna go and risk it, and okay, you can gamble, whatever. Like, honestly, you can always gamble. And to be honest, I've seen like strategies where people just like honestly go in, gamble all in, and okay, they sometimes win. But I sometimes look at the movement of where they're testing it, back testing it, for example. I'm thinking, okay, you picked a perfect constant scenario, but as we know, the market is never perfect. And how can you predict that? Either is going to be ranging, or it's not going to be, or it's going to be trending. So, it's a difficult one. So that's why I always say, go slowly, don't rush. Just the journey on this one, the journey is long. And if somebody managed to get rich very quickly on YouTube, showing their results, okay, congratulations to them, fantastic. But let's put it this way: I'm not them. And for me, I've learned that for me, it's step by step. I need to go step by step in order to reach something. So, unfortunately, somebody's more lucky, they get quicker there, and somebody's less lucky like me, and they go a little bit slower. So, but to be honest, I don't mind. I don't mind because I on the way on that way I learn new things, a lot of new things, and every day, honestly, I'm learning something new, and it's just fascinating because the market is adjusting. The market is it's people's emotions. Here, every candle, that's people's perception. So, or maybe an algorithm's perception as well, but in general, yes, the algorithm is built by people. But anyway, JD Invest, I think I overextended my answer to your question, but yeah, I don't know if it was any use, because again, like I said, I cannot really say like one lot, 0.01 lot. So whatever, you go from your balance. Just don't risk everything and just like go slowly. Anyway, I hope you'll have a fantastic trading day. Everybody, guys, everybody. I hope you'll have a wonderful trading day. As I said before, don't overtrade. If it's not going well, if it's not ticking all your boxes for that entry, don't enter. Only when it's ticking all the boxes. Then yes, you can do something about it. And then you can take advantage of it. But yeah, I hope, like I said, I hope to see you next week. As always, 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye. Hey there, thank you very much for watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that. So, like this video? We speculate your next mouse movement will be towards the subscribe button.